Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 23, text 27. Tesham durapam kim tviv anyan.
Tesham durapam kim tiv anyam
Martyanam bhagavat padam.
Matyanam Bhagavad Padam
Bhuvi lola yusho yevai.
Bhuvi Lola Yusho Yeve
Nishkarmyam sadhayanti yutam.
Nishkarman Myam Sadhayanti Uta.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In this material world, every human being has a short span of life, but those who are engaged in devotional service go back home, back to Godhead, for they are actually on the path of liberation. For such persons, there's nothing which is not available. In Bhagavad Gita 9.33, Lord Krishna says, Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. The Lord here declares that this material world is full of miseries, asukham, and at the same time is very flickering, anityam. Therefore, one's only duty is to engage himself in devotional service. This is the best end to which human life can be put. So the wives of the demigods are speaking, no? They are seeing Archie and Pṛthu Maharaj go back home, back to Godhead. So they are saying here that devotional service, every human being has a short span of life. But those who are engaged in devotional service go back home, back to Godhead. But they are actually on the path of liberation. So if really one wants liberation, one needs to take up devotional service. Devotional service begins by hearing and chanting. Asukham and anityam, full of miseries and flickering. So the only duty in this material world is to engage in devotional service. This is the best end to which human life can be put. Those devotees who are constantly engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord achieve not only all material benefits, but also spiritual benefits. For at the end of life, they go back home, back to Godhead. So we not only have material duty, we have a spiritual duty. And here Bhagavatam is saying our only duty is to engage in devotional service. So what will happen to those of us who are still on the material platform? Then that's why then Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, you do your duty, but do it for my satisfaction. So the pure devotee, they get all the material benefits by just engaging in devotional service. They don't separately endeavor for anything material. Their destination is described in this verse as Bhagavad Padam. The word Padam means abode, and Bhagavad means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, the destination of the devotees is the abode of the Supreme Personality of God. In this verse, the word Neshkarmya, which means transcendental knowledge, is also significant. Unless one comes to the platform of transcendental knowledge and offers devotional service to the Lord, one is not perfect. So it means coming to the point of engaging in pure devotional service. So Prabhupada is saying coming to the point of transcendental knowledge means understanding completely well. I'm part and parcel of Krishna. That is transcendental knowledge. Generally, processes of Gyan, Yoga, and Karma are executed life after life before one gets a chance to render pure devotional service to the Lord. This chance is given by the grace of a pure devotee, and it is in this way only that one can actually attain liberation. So as we said yesterday, the devotees were asking to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, does it mean we have done many pious activities? Prabhupada was, I'm creating your pious activity. The pure devotee gives us an opportunity to get devotion. And Prabhupada is saying that's the only way one can get liberation. In the context of this narration, the wives of the demigods repented because although they had the opportunity of a birth in a higher planetary system, a lifetime spanning millions of years and all material comforts, they were not as fortunate as Pṛthu Maharaj and his wife, who were actually surpassing them. In other words, Pṛthu Maharaj and his wife scorned promotion to the higher planetary systems and even to Brahmalok, because the position which they were attaining was incomparable. So by this, we can see that even the inhabitants of higher planetary system, they are also aspiring to go back home, back to Godhead. So we need not aspire to go to the heavenly planets, because over there also there is lamentation, there is hankering, there's birth, death, old age, disease, although they live for fantastic number of years, but they also want to go back home, back to Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita 8:16, the Lord affirms, A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. From the highest planet in the material world to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. In other words, even if one goes to the highest planet, Brahmalok, he has to return to the miseries of birth and death. In the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 9:21, Lord Krishna also says, Tetam bhuktvasa swargalokam vishala, shine punye martya lokam vishanti. When they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense pleasure, they return to this mortal planet again. So Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita 9:21, after the karma finishes of being in the heavenly planet, enjoying a lot, having lot of wealth, lot of beauty, lot of opulence. Again, when the karma finishes, again one comes to this earth. Thus, after exhausting the results of pious activities, one has to come again to the lower planetary systems and begin a new chapter of pious activities. So again, like, make money, get the money, go for holiday, have a good fun at the holiday, come back again and again work hard, to again make money, again go for a holiday, again. So that's like a cycle. It is therefore said in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.12, Neshkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam. The path of liberation is not at all secure unless one attains the devotional service of the Lord. So if one really wants liberation, mukti, then one needs to engage in devotional service. If one wants a guarantee that I want to get liberated without any fail, permanently, not temporary, not for a short period of time, then one has to engage in devotional service. Why is that? Engage in devotional service? Because even if one is promoted to the impersonal Brahmajyoti, he runs every chance of falling down into this material world. If it is possible to fall down from the Brahmajyoti, which is beyond the higher planetary systems in this material world, then what can be said of the ordinary yogis and karmas, who can only be elevated to the higher material planets? Thus, the wives of the denizens of the higher planetary systems did not very much appreciate the results of karma, jnana, and yoga. So Prabhupada is helping us understand that imagine reaching the spiritual sky. The Brahmajyoti is the spiritual sky. From there also one can fall down to the material world again. Even if one is liberated to the spiritual sky, to the Brahmajyoti, from there also 99.9% chance is there that one will fall down. Then of course, if one is there on the heavenly planets, one is going to come down again to the earthly planet after the pious results are finished. So if we really want permanent liberation, we have to enter the Vaikuntha planet. Not only reaching the Brahman or Brahmajyoti, we have to enter one of the Vaikuntha planets. And the only way we can enter Vaikuntha planets is when we engage in devotional service. taking up devotional service of the Lord. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, it is said, right, that once you reach the spiritual sky, then you will not come back down. Right?
Once you reach the spiritual planets.
Spiritual sky, the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Then you don't come back, right?
That's right. That's right. But from the Brahma Jyoti, there is every possibility that one will come down.
Right.
Yeah. That's right. So karma, jnana, and yoga, maximum they can take us only up to, karma will take us to higher planetary systems. Yoga may take us to even a higher planet, or maximum up to the Brahman. And Gyan also will maximum take to the Brahman. But we're gonna come back. So take up devotional service. Because with devotional service, we enter into the spiritual planets and no need to come back. Savanchito batatmadruk.
Savanchito batatmadruk.
Krichrena mahata bhuvi.
Krichrena mahata bhuvi.
Labdhavapavargyam manushyam.
Labdavapavargyam manusham.
Vishayeshu vishachate.
Vishayeshu vishajate.
Any person who engages himself within this material world in performing activities that necessitate great struggle, and who, after obtaining a human form of life, which is a chance to attain liberation from miseries, undertakes the difficult tasks of furtive activities, must be considered to be cheated and envious of his own self. Wow. So Gautam is saying that when we are doing all this material activities and not engaging in devotional service, because human form of life is a chance to attain liberation from miseries, and instead we take difficult activities, then we are cheated and we are considered envious of our own self. In this material world, people are engaged in different activities simply to achieve a little success in sense gratification. The karmis are engaged in performing very difficult activities, and thus they open gigantic factories, build huge cities, make big scientific discoveries, etc. In other words, they are engaged in performing very costly sacrifices in order to be promoted to the higher planetary systems. So if we see modern civilization, it's not easy. There's a lot of effort that goes into it. A lot of time, energy, money that goes into this modern civilization that we are living in. Similarly, yogis are engaged in achieving a similar goal by accepting the tedious practices of mystic yoga. So yogis do the mystic yoga, they get the Ashta Siddhis. Then with the Siddhis, they can fly in the air or they can swim, float on the water, which modern science is. We can do that with the help of modern science. Jnanis are engaged in philosophical speculation in order to gain release from the clutches of material nature. In these ways, everyone is engaged in performing very difficult tasks simply for the gratification of the senses. All of these are considered to be engaged in sense gratificatory activities or Vishaya, because they all demand some facility for material existence. Actually, the results of such activities are temporary. As Krishna himself proclaims in Bhagavad Gita 7.23, Antavattu phalam tesham. The fruits of those who worship the demigods are limited and temporary. Thus, the fruits of the activities of yogis, karmis, and jnanis are ephemeral. So, if we take up the process of jnana, karma, or of yoga, the result that we get, that result is a temporary result. So, we are doing so much endeavor, so much hard work to get the result. And we enjoy the result, but that result is temporary. Thus, the fruits of the Moreover, Krishna says, Tad bhavati alpamedasam. They are simply meant for men of small intelligence. So, what happens is we have this human life, which is so short, not very long life. And in that, we use so much of our time, energy, and money to do some activity which we get the results, but those results are temporary. The karmis flatly state that they want sense gratification. The yogis also want sense gratification, but they want it to a higher degree. It is the desire to show some miraculous results through the practice of yoga. Thus, they strive very hard to achieve success in becoming smaller than the smallest, or greater than the greatest, or in creating a planet like Earth, or as scientists by inventing so many wonderful machines. Similarly, the jnanis are also engaged in sense gratification, for they are simply interested in becoming one with the Supreme. This is also a material desire. This is also illusion that I'm going to become one with God. That's also a Maya, illusion. This is the last snare of Maya. Thus, the aim of all these activities is sense gratification to a higher or lower degree. The bhaktas, however, are not interested in sense gratificatory practices. They're simply satisfied to get an opportunity to serve the Lord. So, this is the pure devotee. He simply wants to engage in Krishna's service. Although they are satisfied in any condition, there is nothing they cannot obtain because they are purely engaged in the service of the Lord. So the pure devotee, he can get all material facilities if he needs. That's another thing, that he's simply satisfied with whatever he's getting. But if he wants, he can get all the material opulence because he's already on the absolute platform. He's on the liberated stage. The wife of the demigods condemned the performance of sense gratificatory activities as vanchita, cheated. Those who engage are actually killing themselves, atmaha, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.17. Nirdehamadyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam gurukrar nadharam mayanukulena nabhasvateritam Oman bhavadbim nataret sa atmaham. When one wants to cross a large ocean, he requires a strong boat. It is said that this human form of life is a good boat by which one can cross the ocean of nations. In the human form of life, one can obtain the guidance of a good navigator, the spiritual master. One also gets a favorable wind by the mercy of Krishna, and that wind is the instructions of Krishna. The human body is the boat. The instructions of Lord Krishna are the favorable winds, and the spiritual master is the navigator. So this material world is compared to an ocean, unlimited ocean. So to cross an ocean, we need a boat. So this human body is compared to a suitable boat by which we can cross the ocean. And to cross the ocean easily, the boat needs favorable winds. The favorable winds are the Vedas, the Vedic scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. And we need a very expert captain. That expert captain is the pure devotee. The pure devotee helps us to get out of this material ocean. The spiritual master knows well how to adjust the sails to catch the winds favorably and steer the boat to its destination. If, however, one does not take advantage of this opportunity, one wastes the human form of life. Wasting time and life in this way is the same as committing suicide. So we are not able to understand actually the importance of this human body that we have been given and what we can get out of this human body. It's like giving a jewel to a monkey. The monkey doesn't know what he can get with a jewel. So some of us may be like that. Some may understand, yes, what this human life is for, but some of us may really not understand what this human body is, that it can actually take us out of this material world. The word labdvapavargyam is significant in this verse because according to Jiva Goswami, apavargyam, or the path of liberation, does not refer to merging into the impersonal Brahman, but to Salokyadi Siddhi, which means attaining the very planet where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. So what is Jiva Goswami saying? What is liberation?
Means you will not merge into the impersonal Brahman, but
Yes.
attain the planet where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides.
Yes. Means not going to the Brahman, not sitting in the Brahma Jyoti, but actually entering one of the Vaikuntha planet. So there are 5 kinds of liberation, and one is called Sayujya Mukti, or merging into the existence of the Supreme or the impersonal Brahman effulgence. So this is that I'm going to become one with God. That means going into the effulgence. But we have to understand, even if a green bird, enters a green tree, the bird does not become the tree. It's not possible. So similarly, even if we enter into the Brahman effulgence, we still remain individual souls. The individuality is there, and that's with the soul, not with the body. So, however, since there is a chance of one's falling down again into the material sky from the Brahman effulgence, Srila Jiva Goswami advises that in this human form of life, one's only aim should be what? To go back home, back to Godhead. So we make so many aims. We have daily aim, monthly aim, life aim, education aim, financial aim, so many. But what actually should be this aim of this human life? Okay, all those we need to do because we are, after all, in the material world, we are in the material body, so we need to do those things, yes, but the bigger picture is that we need to go back home, back to Godhead. The words sa vanchita indicate that once a person has obtained the human form of life, he is actually cheated if he does not make preparations to go back home, back to Godhead.
Such a strong statement.
I know, right? See how Bhagavatam uses such words, and then it's like, wake up, what are you doing?
What
You
you
know?
doing? You got this human body, and what are you utilizing it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Bhagavatam saying you're cheated. You didn't use it properly.
Yeah, you're cheating yourself.
Yeah, cheating ourselves. The position of all non-devotees who are not interested in going back to Godhead is very much lamentable, for the human form of life is meant for executing devotional service and nothing else. So this is what this human body is given to us for, to engage in devotional service and go back home, back to Godhead. Any other comment? Question?
Yeah, just one question. So how they said that you are envy, like you in the beginning, in the translation they said?
Because we are not using the body for what it can give us, right? It can take us back to the spiritual world, but we are not using it properly. Then we are continuing to stay in the material world. So we are envious of our own self. We are making our own self suffer because this material world is a place of misery. And it's so we are being envious because we are causing our own suffering. You know, when we are envious of another, we cause them suffering, right? So here we are envious of ourselves, so we are causing ourselves suffering. And then we ourselves are cheated.
Another question also, say, see, okay, we are supposed to engage, right, in devotional service, but we are living in this world, in this earth. So economic development also is needed, right?
Yes. So it's needed, but there is a limit that because needs have to be met. But then are we overdoing it? That's the question. And so, anyway, we leave that work to whatever, and then we use it for Krishna service. Okay, we have airplanes, good. We can go to the dham. We have laptops, good. We can read on the internet. We can do Zoom. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
But we don't. Yeah, that so much endeavor should not be put into discovering so much things. But okay, somebody's putting in the endeavor. All right. So we use those things to engage in devotional service.
Yeah. Right.
So that way. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Hare Krishna.